Welcome, I'm Ehabad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. Today I'm going to discuss the new Fragment Fusion champion, Opardin Clanfather. I think all the other content creators are going to be providing a lot of videos over the next few days, showcasing him on the test server and giving you their opinion about whether he's worth fusing or not. Personally, I would go for all of these champions that we have available to us via the fusions or fragments. You never know in the future what kind of content they might come up with where this champion could be useful for. There have been various champions that we've had available to us that don't seem particularly necessary, shall we say, at the time, but ultimately become very useful in the future. Particularly in secret rooms and potentially other content that they might add. I would say with Opardin, I feel like there's a certain potential there. Certainly on the HP secret rooms, he would be strong. It's a shame that he's not force-based, as we do in Doom Tower 3 have the force HP room that he would have been pretty good for, to be honest, but he is magic, so that's not going to be an option. If we just very, very quickly go through the skills, on the A1, it's a very weak A1, to be honest. I find the fact that they had to caveat this 5% TM manipulation on each hit, it's still only a 10% in total. That the fact they needed to add a percentage chance on that is really poor. The A2 attack all enemies with a heal is not a particularly impressive heal, but along with the continuous heals on the A3, I think it means that he is a viable healer. Again, it's a bit of a shame that they actually have made this a barbarian rather than orc. Orcs really suffer from a lack of healing champions other than Vrask. Vrask and Warlord are the only two real healers in the entire faction, and it's certainly a faction war that a lot of people struggle with. So if Opardin had been an orc, I think that would have been much more helpful for the community. If we go to the A3, there's a bit of a semi-cleanse mechanic going on, which isn't particularly exciting. Block buffs and heal reduction, you don't see a lot of that. Potentially in future content we might find something where this has a specific use case. The 2 continuous heals on all allies is particularly nice, to be honest. I think that could be useful for a number of instances, particularly where you need big sustain. You know, I'm thinking potentially Bommel, potentially Nether Spider, for instance. So there are instances where I think this A3 has certain use. 1 random debuff is always useful as well. Brogni does that. We could cleanse the stun against Clan Boss. We could cleanse a poison against Nether Spider. We could cleanse the HP burn off against Bommel. So there are, again, instances where the A3 could be useful. Only on 3-turn cooldown once booked, I think is pretty good as well. The passive, it's okay. It's a fairly small TM fill. Yeah, you could stack your team with a lot of continuous heals, but you'll probably be sacrificing other better abilities to do so. I think it's, at least from my perspective, it looks quite niche, quite gimmicky. You can make it work, but is it really going to be worth it? It remains to be seen. But that said, I would still go for the champion. It's not worth overextending yourself, but I think most people will be in a position where they're able to get the champion. Right, so if we turn our attention towards the event schedule, first thing to note, we only have 115 fragments available. So that is on the low side. I think most of the fragment events we've had recently have had more than this. It does mean that there's not much we can afford to skip. Specifically, we have to get fragments from both the Summon Rush and the Champion Chase, which means it's a bigger investment in shards than most of the previous fragment events had been. So it's something to be cognizant of. Another big shout out is that CVC starts tomorrow, and that is going to affect the way we approach in terms of optimizing our resource spends to get maximum CVC points whilst also progressing on the fusion plan. With that in mind, I have decided to start with champion training for the first 2 days of this fragment fusion. I will do the entirety of Spider during CVC to maximize the CVC points. I have been saving quite a few energy rewards from events. I also have my energy from the TTA Bazaar and a few other sources such as that, and I will be using gems as well. With that in mind, I'm starting with champion training. Today I leveled up some food, but I've saved all my rank ups for tomorrow when CVC starts. I am going to be going after this legendary tome. I usually always go for the legendary tomes, as I've mentioned before in these videos. It's something that I always seek to do. It's one of the best ways of getting additional legendary books outside of Clan Boss. Ranking up multiple 4-star to 5 stars and 5-star to 6 stars during the CVC window, and then supplementing whatever additional catch-up points I need to do to finish off the champion training event on the 20th and 21st, as we have a bit of a gap before the dragon really needs to be done. You can see that I'm only dedicating 1.5 days to dragon on the 22nd and 23rd, which is the tail end of the dragon tournament. Obviously, I'll have to have used the day's energy for the 23rd before the dragon finishes. I may not finish the full 2700 points on dragon. It kind of depends how far I get through the champion training during CVC. I may be able to do dragon on the 21st. So it's entirely possible this could end up going to dragon. After that, it's pretty clean sailing. On the 24th and 25th, we can just go into Fire Night. We then can do 26th, 27th on champion training and kind of muddle our way through there. And then Ice Golem on 28th, 29th. And then past that, we actually don't have any energy usage. We actually seem to have a dungeon divers going on with no dungeon to dive and no champion training event. So this whole period is a bit of an oddity. And we do need to get the 5 fragments from the dungeon diver here, but we don't have any natural use of energy. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be some non-fusion fragment events going on at that time, which will direct us in terms of how to use our energy. But it's a bit of a strange plan overall, and we're incredibly front-loaded during this CVC period. This is very much where we're going to have to direct our resources and burn gems during these 2 days during CVC, do all the champion training we can, make sure we're on track for the legendary book, and do all the spider we can, and get enough silver to do the artifact event, which we will also be looking to do during these 2 CVC days to maximize the points we'll get from ranking up artifacts. So there's a lot to consider really in the first 10 days of the fusion. Past that, it becomes very self-fulfilling. So I wouldn't worry too much about the back end of it. If we have a quick look at the overall plan, I have essentially said we're going to get all the fragments available from everywhere other than the summon rush. There is a potential to skip the champion training tournament, which typically are pretty bad returns on resources when compared to the champion training events. But if we did that, we'd need to get at least 10 shards from the summon rush. It really depends how they distribute this 20. And I think we'll have to see how the champion chase is reflected this coming weekend to have an idea as to what the optimum will be between 5 and 5 between Summon Rush and Champ Training, or doing 10 on the Summon Rush and skipping the Champ Training. But my default stance will be that I'll follow this as my plan. As I said in the Tatura fusion plan, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I can adjust my plan on the fly. I retain a stockpile of all resources at all times. But even so, I still look to do this as efficiently as I can. This is how I have analysed the event schedule that they've given to us, and this is how I'm going to be approaching it. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any feedback is always welcome, and good luck getting this champion. Bye for now.